Oklahoma schools receive a hoax supervisory document on Walter's Bible directive. Governor Kevin Stitt's work permit and visa task force releases a final report. And tainted feet possibly to blame for over 40 horse deaths at an Oklahoma rodeo company. We'll have details coming up on the KGOU AM News Brief for Thursday, August 29th. I'm Nick Daniels. School districts across the state received packages Wednesday claiming to be from the State Department of Education and containing 80 pages of extra-biblical lore purporting to be a supervisory document for State Superintendent Ryan Walters' Bible directive. But as State Impact's Beth Wallace reports, it was a hoax.
Included in the package is what's titled The Book of Aaron, the Lost Book of the Pentateuch by Julian of the Janes. It claims it was unearthed in Syria in 2008 and translated by Syncretic Pedagogical Services, LLC, copyrighted by The Beast of the Sea, also known as the Antichrist from the Biblical Book of Revelations. The cover letter says it was written by Walters, but instead of signing with his correct title, the signature says instead Secretary of Education. A spokesperson for the department says the package is fraudulent and claimed, without providing evidence, it was backed by George Soros. He says any attempt to target schools will be met with the full force of the law and encourages districts to report the packages to law enforcement. For State Impact, I'm Beth Wallace.
Governor Kevin Stitt's work permit and visa task force has 5 recommendations for how Oklahoma can encourage non-citizens to join its workforce. State Capitol reporter Lionel Ramos reports they include establishing a new government office and providing certain folks with a special privilege to drive.
Tricia Everest is Stitt's Secretary of Public Safety and chairs the Oklahoma Work Permits and Visas Task Force. She says the first recommendation is to create a new state office of new Oklahomans.
Having a centralized convener of all the information, barriers and opportunities, real and perceived, it really would be solution for us. Oklahoma is a solution-based state, and this is a great opportunity to take it up.
The task force also recommended issuing certain qualified migrants, quote, driver's privilege cards, or DPCs, to be used solely to drive in Oklahoma, not for use as a valid form of ID. These and the other recommendations are only ideas. Their implementation depends on political will in the Oklahoma legislature. I'm Lionel Ramos.
Those other recommendations include allowing professional credentials for global talent in Oklahoma, piloting different kinds of state-issued visas for international workers, and allowing employers to seek non-citizens to fill high-demand jobs. A rodeo stock company in western Oklahoma is mourning the loss of multiple horses after potentially being fed faulty feed. KGOU's Spencer Plato reports on the investigation that's underway.
The Oklahoma Department of Agriculture is investigating the deaths of more than 40 horses from Butler & Son Rodeo Company, the family-owned business that raises livestock for rodeo competitions all over the U.S., including the Oklahoma State Fair, believes the horses were mistakenly given tainted feed. The Agriculture Department says a veterinarian was concerned over the feed that they located from Kansas, and that an inspector has taken samples from the feed and sent them off for testing. The Kansas Department of Agriculture has also been informed. I'm Spencer Plato.
An Oklahoma Sooners assistant football coach will be suspended for the team's home opener tomorrow night. OPMX's Ryan LaCroix reports.
OU running backs coach DeMarco Murray committed to recruiting violations when he contacted prospects before an allowed time period. That's according to a decision by the NCAA Division I Committee on Infractions. The report says over a period of 16 months, Murray contacted 17 recruits with 65 phone calls and 36 text messages during a prohibited time. OU notified the NCAA of the violations while self-imposing recruiting restrictions for their entire staff and specifically off-campus recruiting for Murray. The penalties were less severe as a result, with the NCAA doling out 1 year of probation for the school, a 1-game suspension for Murray, and a 3-week recruiting ban on phone and electronic contacts after the season. In Oklahoma City, I'm Ryan LaCroix.
And a programming note, the next episode of the KGOU AM News Brief will be on Tuesday, September 3rd. For more news, visit our website, kgou.org.
New from the Embedded podcast. Female athletes have always needed grit and talent. But for decades, they've also needed a certificate.
There was chit-chat about, is that really a woman?
And even now, they're still being checked and questioned. Their story is the newest series from CBC and NPR's Embedded. It's called Tested. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.